Hi everyone, welcome to video 4 of the exam preparation series, hoping that you're all studying really hard, so let's get into it. So today, a question came from Sarah, so she's asked if I could do a video on ethics and social responsibility. So what I'm going to do is, rather than just go over a video that we've done before, I'll use a question from the 2010 exam that based on ethics and social responsibility. Once again, the question was answered really poorly and averaged 1.8 marks out of 6, which, as you can tell, is a pretty ordinary mark. So we'll see what people did wrong and obviously an example answer, and we'll look at more specifically at social responsibility. I've always found that ethics and social responsibility questions on their own are generally answered pretty well. However, when social responsibility is linked to another part of the course, such as operations or human resource management, it's done really poorly, and that tends to be what happens during exam time. Remember, as I've said before, don't try and memorise the answers. Look at how they've been answered, how they've answered the question, and where others have gone wrong. That's really important. So look at the structure and where major mistakes have been made. So here's today's question, and that is to identify and describe 2 operations management strategies. Discuss the benefits to an organisation of adopting an ethical and socially responsible approach to management in these areas. So again, if we continue on with our little process of circling the descriptive terms, we need to identify, we need to describe 2, and we need to discuss. So if it's worth 6 marks, there's a fair chance you're getting 2 marks for identifying 2 marks for description, and 2 marks for discussion, or something along those lines. Anyway, you're going to be getting. All right. To underline then our content. So obviously it's an operations management strategy, and we need to link it then. So in our discussion, we need to discuss ethics and social responsibility. This is what the Chief Examiner said. Many students identified a general strategy, such as quality or technology, so they were able to do that. However, they did not provide more detail linking it to a specific strategy. So you couldn't just say, all right, one strategy is quality. You had to then say a specific strategy, such as total quality management, or in technology, computer-aided design, or robotics, or something like that. Many students selected appropriate operations management strategies. So some students were able to do that, but where they fell down, and this is what gets many students, they did not address how adopting an ethically and socially responsible approach in these areas would benefit the organisation. Some students discussed adopting an ethically and socially responsible approach, but did not mention operations management strategies. So this is a common problem. So essentially what's happening here is that students can do one thing, but they can't do 2. So they can either look at operations management strategies, but they then can't discuss how being ethically and socially responsible in their area is going to benefit an organisation. Or they can discuss the benefits of adopting an ethically and socially responsible approach, but they can't link it to operations management strategies. Okay, so that's something to really look at and say, well, can you link different parts of the course together? The questions which are just on one topic are normally the pretty straightforward questions. The ones where students struggle is where it's linking different parts of the course. That's where you can't just regurgitate answers and just, simple recall. You need to understand the concepts. So let's have a look at the answer. Now, this is large. I'm not going to go through all of this, but we'll point out things that they've done. So first of all, they've defined ethical management, then they've defined social responsibility. They've then spoken about operations management strategies, could be quality, and then they've listed 3 quality strategies. All right, quality control, quality assurance, and total quality management. But the more specific one they've chosen, if we look where it starts in blue there, we've got total quality management, and they have described, so total quality management involves 3 main aspects, etc., etc. So they've described that strategy. Then they need to discuss the benefits. Now remember, discussion means looking at both sides. So I've adapted this because in 2010 you didn't really have to do that. Discussion just meant to essentially explain. But so I've added some stuff here that's from this answer, which is taken from the VCEE website. So, adopting an ethically and socially responsible approach can be beneficial regarding quality, and they go on to explain the benefits. And then in red, adopting a total quality management strategy can be time-consuming and costly as it needs to become part of the culture. This can take time as selection processes may change along with more training programs required. So the important thing there, you can see what they've done. They've identified and described a specific strategy, and then in their discussion, they're linking social responsibility to that strategy. So the benefits is that it's going to improve quality, which then improves morale, feel ethically respected. If customers need a top priority, then quality is of the highest possibility, etc., etc. So it's going to increase sales, those type of things. The drawback in terms of discussion of being socially responsible in this area is that it becomes really time consuming. So essentially here they're looking at, well, if we can manage the best quality possible, then how is that, that's being socially responsible, and what are the benefits of that and what are the limitations of that? Then we need to do a second one. So the second strategy could be materials management, specifically just in time. You can see there they've specifically stated a materials management strategy. And then description. This involves the sourcing of materials, stock and suppliers required to ensure that stock arrives just as they're required on the production line. Now the benefits. Organisations will benefit if they source their materials in an ethically and socially responsible manner. This involves purchasing from suppliers, etc., etc. And then on the other side, sourcing materials that are socially responsible will increase costs, which may be passed on to consumers, but we've counteracted it there and just said that it's still a benefit, yet this is better than risking a poor image. And then they didn't really have to do this last part, but they're just sort of really hitting on the point that by adopting an ethically and socially responsible approach, customers are more likely to purchase from the organisation as customers are increasingly becoming concerned for the environment and society. All right, so that's essentially re-expressing the benefits of being ethically and socially responsible in your operations, and that's how they've linked the two parts together. Now, just to recap, this is really important. What I say to my students is, and don't use this as a definition because it's not a definition, but this is just the concept of social responsibility. So social responsibility is about going above and beyond, the legal requirements for customers, employees, and the environment. There's other areas as well, but they're the three main areas that we look at. So what you need to do is just think of it that way. Is this organisation going above and beyond? So ask yourself these questions. Does the organisation have to do this? Is it required by law? If no, then how far above and beyond are they going? Is it costing, are they spending all this money to really help the safety of their employees, or, as in that answer before, really trying to hit home on quality, whatever it may be. So if it is, then you can probably class it as social responsibility. Is it benefiting the customer, the employee, or the environment? So if by them going above, the organisation going above and beyond, if it's benefiting or helping the safety or something like that of a customer, employee, or the environment, then it is more likely we can probably class it as being socially responsible. Now, what are the benefits? You need to ask yourself, what are the benefits of doing that? It could be that it improves the image. It could be that it improves the safety, which is going to help morale. It could be that customers want better quality. It could be that customers are buying from organisations that aren't hurting the environment or that are giving back to their community, whatever it may be. And what are the limitations or drawbacks? So that in your discussion, it could be that it takes away from the focus of the organisation, or that it increases the time to reduces your productivity because it increases the time to produce your product, or that it increases cost, whatever it may be. That's really important. So don't get too caught up in what social responsibility is. Just think about, is it above and beyond? If they're going above and beyond their legal obligations, and is it benefiting somehow the customer, the employee, the environment, or even the community is probably another one that you could throw in there. All right, and so hopefully that will help you then link any part of the course to social responsibility that you need to. So to access more resources to help you with your exam, including our practice exams and SACs, then come over to teachingbubble.com.